What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Red String Movie Podcast, the podcast where everything is connected. I'm your host, Jacob Thompson, and joining me is my co-host, friend, and the person most likely to, when he's at a restaurant, he goes and asks for a refill, and then just leaves without getting the refill. Alex Perkins. Perk, how you doing tonight?
I'm well, thanks. It's a great prank. It's
Really
so funny because they come back with the full cup and there's no one there.
And then what do? They have to drink it, or they throw it away?
Yeah, what do you do with it? You just look around.
It's one of my biggest pet peeves in any movie is when it's worse when they go to a restaurant, they sit down, order food, and then just fucking leave.
And then leave, yeah.
It drives me bananas, but anyway, we'll get into it. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. This is the show where every Perk and I review a movie that's connected to the last one we watched. I feel like our show we post pretty much every Friday on podcast services and YouTube. Also check out our TikTok. I'm trying to post more on that and having a good time with that. But if you like our show, tell your friends about it and come watch some movies with us. Last week we watched Dog Day Afternoon featuring Al Pacino, and we thought, hey, this guy's pretty good. What's another movie we can see him in? And we had a lot of options, obviously, because Godfather and all that stuff. But we went with Heat. So Perk, why don't you intro it for us?
Yeah, all right. So Heat is a 1995 joint directed by Michael Mann, starring the aforementioned Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. And it's a back and forth between a police investigator and a heist criminal and his gang. And yeah, antics ensue.
Mm-hmm. As they often do in these movies.
As sometimes they do.
Do you have any fun facts for me?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for reminding me. So the obviously famous scene where they get coffee,
mm-hmm.
Al Pacino and Robert De Niro's characters, was unrehearsed, and it was because De Niro thought that the scene would feel more natural because the characters don't know each other at that point.
Sure.
And so if they, played it a little more off the cuff, it would feel more like they were meeting for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And then another little fun tidbit is the actor who played Waingro went to prison in 2003, which, looking at him, doesn't surprise me.
Sure.
And everyone in prison called him Waingro.
Yikes.
Yeah.
You know who he looked like to me? His eyes shape was Jason Momoa.
Oh, I don't know if I saw that, but
I was looking at him, I'm he looks really familiar to me, and I looked at his credits and nothing popped out, but I don't know, his face structure just was giving me Momoa vibes, but maybe the long hair too, I don't know. Perk, I got a lot to say, so I don't know if you want to go first or want to let me go first.
No, I have a lot less, so I'll let you go first.
Here's the thing, Perk. I did not like this movie, and I might go as far as to say this is a bad movie. I really, really did not like this movie at all. I don't know what the fuck Pacino was doing. He is so unnecessarily goofy and just yelling shit for no reason. I think it's edited poorly, especially the action. I think is edited pretty bad, and just baffling decisions made. Natalie Portman's character, what the fuck was that at the end out of nowhere? Just the female characters I think are just written horribly. And De Niro was solid, but the story was just pretty boring and predictable, and overall I just really, really didn't like it.
Is that all?
I mean, I'll have more when we get into the plot, but yeah, off the top, I really, really dislike this movie.
I super disagree.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna argue a lot of those points. I think you didn't actually call out one thing that I thought was pretty goofy about this movie. They, in order to more realistically capture the sound of bullets, they just had mics scattered around the set.
Oh my god, dude.
And one of the fun facts was there were no sound stages used in this movie, and I'm like, yeah, I could tell.
Yeah, that scene where they're shooting his shoot was so fucking loud and just painful to listen to.
It's the epitome of all the the classic. It happens so often in movies, I don't get it, where you can never hear any of the dialogue because the dialogue scenes are quiet. So you have to turn it way up, and then the second a bullet's fired, you burst your eardrums.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for realism, but to an extent.
Right. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I don't I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I liked the story a lot. It was I think it was doughy, but I wasn't bored at any point. Um, I think Pacino was in his bag. I thought he was great.
I disagree completely, man.
I mean, that's fair. Also, De Niro is I don't know, like sneakily in my mind is like the best male actor of all time. I don't know. I'd have to think about it a little harder, but he's just so consistently good. I mean, I haven't seen Dirty Grandpa, so that might tank my opinion.
Yeah.
But I have seen Jack and Jill, so I don't think Pacino can be in the conversation anymore.
Well, I mean, yeah, if we want to start with the acting, like,
sure.
So here's the thing. I think Pacino was really good when he's like, shows up to a situation. He's like, all right, we're doing this, this, this. And he feels like in control, right? And like, he felt capable at his job in those moments. So I think it's like what you need from this kind of cat and mouse thing. If you want to like feel both sides are smart and capable. But then he'll be like fucking interviewing or just going to talk to somebody. And it's just like needlessly aggressive for no reason. And then just start yelling the most insane shit. Like when they go to talk to Val Kilmer's wife's mistress guy. Or what's the the guy she's hooking up with?
The Las Vegas dude.
He just starts yelling.
The Simpsons guy, right?
Oh, I don't know about that. He starts yelling because she's got a great ass. I love me a great ass. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Or like he's talking to the other dude at one point and goes, I'm Donald Duck. And I'm like, Pacino, what the fuck are you doing? Like, he's just so goofy.
Well, that was one of those like, yeah, well, I'm the Pope.
Like, I know, but like for some reason, it just like that's a classic, you know, that's a classic thing it's in writing with characters. But like for whatever reason, it's just he's just so whenever he starts yelling, I'm just like, what? He's a cartoon character, and it doesn't make any sense to me. Like I really disliked all that stuff that he did, and then like with his and the thing that I really don't buy with this movie is just all the relationships between men and women, like. Why? First, I didn't actually think that him and his wife were married. I thought like we knew he was divorced, but I didn't think they were actually married. But no, they're married. And like at one point, she's like, "All you do is like fuck me and leave," essentially. But then she's also like, "Even if you were a fat bald bus driver, I'd love you till the ends of the earth." I'm like, why? Why? I don't believe you. If you're saying you guys only have sex as the only relationship, which is also like I'm madly in love with you and do whatever. It's like. No, I don't buy that for a goddamn second. And similarly with De Niro and Edie, they meet at the bar, have the most boring conversation I've heard in my entire life of like, where are you from? Oh yeah, what do you do? It's just almost like first date level bullshit, right? They have sex, and then after that they're like madly in love with each other, and he's fucking 20 years older than her, and I'm like, it's just so unbelievable. And the fact that they've met like 3 times, and he's like. Run away to New Zealand with me. Also, you know I'm a criminal now that I've killed people. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to stay. What the fuck? Like, I don't buy any of this shit. And it just really undermines to me a lot of what happens. Because a lot of the tension is with the relationships. And I'm just like, I don't fucking buy it. Like, both these relationships make no sense at all.
All right. But you did say there were no good female characters. I will counter. I thought Ashley Judd was great. And I thought her character was good too.
Which one was she? Look it up.
She's Val Kilmer's.
Yeah. Wife. She was pretty solid.
She was definitely the strongest female character.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. My issue with that whole thing was when Val Kilmer is like sleeping in De Niro's apartment, and he's like, "Oh, she's gonna leave me," and I was like, "Why?" He's like, because I'm not making enough money." And it's like, no, because you're gambling. But De Niro never calls him out for gambling. He's just like, oh, I guess we gotta make more money then, because you keep gambling it away. I mean, at least De Niro like goes to Charlene's like, hey, I'll pay for you to get the fuck out of here if he fucks up again. But I'm like, if he's your friend, fucking tell him to clean up his act. And he's like, no, we'll just make more money so you can gamble some more. Like, it's just, I don't know. That undermined their friendship. So I'm like, if you were actually a good friend, you would tell him to fucking clean it up.
I'm sure they've had that conversation before, but
we haven't seen that though.
No, but we don't get to see everything. You gotta cross some dots in your brain.
It was right there.
And he right talks there down to him about it.
Kind of. He never once like questions him for gambling. Not once in this entire movie. You only find out about it because Charlene yells at Val Kilmer about it. But I don't know. And then, the Natalie Portman thing comes out of fucking nowhere. And it's like super like fucked up and traumatizing. But like all we get is Pacino telling De Niro like, oh, I got a stepdaughter fucked up because she misses her dad. And then we get that. And then we get her, trying to unalive herself. And I'm just like, Jesus, like that was like 0 to 150 with like almost zero setup. Because we haven't seen Natalie Portman at that point for like an hour and a half probably. And I don't think the movie needed that at all.
Yeah, I don't really understand the reasoning behind it. I can see where they kind of drew up the like the logic to it, because that's pretty much all that we're told about Natalie Portman's character is that, she misses her dad, and I think it's kind of demonstrated that she might be potentially on the spectrum and take some things a little maybe harsher than
maybe. We get one scene to establish that, and it's like she also seems like a kid. She's like, yeah, like where's my thing? Like I'm trying to do this. Like I care about seeing my dad. Like that seems all like very normal stuff. Like nothing to me indicated that like, oh, she might be like suicidal. It just felt like they needed something to bring Pacino and his wife back together. And they're like, oh, I guess we'll do this super traumatizing thing.
I guess. It could be. I don't know. I don't really know what he's trying to say with that, but emblematic of the strain that divorce puts on children. It's kind of out of left field and unrelated to the plot.
Well, because we focus so much more on Pacino and his wife's relationship and her like cheating on him, and like we get a lot of that. I think that's actually pretty good, like pretty well done. It's just this came out of left field at the end. I'm like, okay, it just felt like too lazy of just
it may have just been like a wow moment type thing.
Yeah. And one other thing I want to just yell about quick before I throw it back to you is like, why do we even have the Allstate guy in this movie? Let me.
Oh no! On this, we entirely agree.
Dennis Haysbert, like what the fuck? We get introduced to him out of nowhere. Just we're cutting to the scene.
No context at all.
And then come back one more time, no context, and then oh yeah, I know that guy. Hey, our driver pulled out. You want to do it? And then he dies immediately. It's like what the fuck was that? Like
it was very much a waste of time. I suppose he's trying to tie it like the connections you forge in prison or something. But we got
no setup.
Too much story about this guy.
Way too much.
For him to just die. And it's like, damn, the horrors of robbery. That was my one biggest complaint. Is I think that entire plot line can be taken out of the movie.
Yeah.
And then you don't even need I don't even think you need to establish another driver.
No.
Maybe just one of them has to drive.
Yeah, one of them stays in the car and starts shooting.
Grab a guy. Or maybe like a wife does it or something.
Yeah, like they didn't have to try to set up this character. Yeah. Yeah, they were grasping too, apparently. Yeah, it just felt like they're like, hey, we have Pacino and De Niro. It'll be fine.
No, and I understand why they had to write Danny Trejo out of... by the way, Danny Trejo playing Trejo.
Was it actually Danny Trejo?
Yeah, of course it was. What? Are you serious?
Well, I'm like, they wouldn't name him Trejo, would they?
Of course.
Well, he's pretty young. I wasn't sure if it was actually him or not.
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, I was like, what the fuck, Danny Trejo?
No, I understand why they had to write him out, because to tie up the whole Van Zandt thing.
Yeah.
And all that.
But
having a full... like 3 separate full cutaway scenes to establish a character just to be your backup getaway driver, when we don't even have scenes to establish the main getaway driver.
Yeah.
Like Danny Trejo's just kind of there.
Yeah. Another thing that was weird, like set up and no payoff was, well, okay, let me give you a couple things really quick. Pacino never finds out that Waingro was the serial killer, which I think is odd because they spent like a whole, like, a pretty big scene of establishing Pacino, like, I'm going to get this guy, or, I need to get vengeance for these people that have died. He never finds out. Also, I thought like we were going to find out who Natalie Portman's dad was, and it was going to be a reveal, because I thought it was going to be Waingro. I thought Waingro was going to be her dad, and that was going to like tie everything back together. And like, okay, what about this Perk? I'm not saying I'm a better writer, but like, what if Waingro was her dad and he did come back and he abused her, and that led her to then do what she did? That I feel like would have worked, and then that would have tied in with like Pacino and him being a serial killer. Like, it would have tied everything together. as opposed to just her throwing that at the end.
Yeah, and let me emphasize that this is a joke. Don't you think that'd be a little dark, Jacob?
I mean, honestly, it would, and maybe.
The insinuation I'm making here is it's already pretty damn dark.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't. I mean, this is Natalie Portman's third movie. I can't imagine her being that young, being asked to do that scene. Like I can't imagine that was easy for her, and I think that's a bit. I don't know. I don't think we needed it. We don't think we needed all that. But yeah, I don't know. I've been ranting. Yeah. Do you want to talk about anything you liked about this movie? After I've just
I very much liked the plot line. I liked the character interplay. As I already mentioned, I did like Pacino. I think his wife, her performance is at least good. I thought Val Kilmer was really good.
Val Kilmer's good, yeah.
I was interested to see because I just assumed, because Val Kilmer, I assumed he'd be like bad guy number one, and it's like, no, it's not that simple.
Mm-hmm. I did like the scene between him and his wife when she tells him to go at
the end. I thought that was super good as well. Really a touching scene for sure. Ashley Judd killed it. I think she was great.
Yeah.
I like the story a lot. I like how things interweave. I definitely think there's fat that could absolutely be trimmed. But some of the tiebacks I think are really cool. I don't know how I feel about the ending. I feel
like it wanted to be Point Break. Does that make sense?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Did this come out after Point Break?
Yeah, I think
I'm sure Michael Mann was not inspired by Point Break.
You never know.
But I think for me, it would have been nice if De Niro gets away after adhering to his own rule. Because I thought that scene was incredibly powerful. I agree with you, I think the relationship is a little flimsy, but when he walks out of the hotel and he sees Pacino, and we've been told several times throughout the film, you have to be able to cut everything in 30 seconds if you feel heat around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that scene. I love that scene so much. And I kind of wish he had gotten away, but at what cost, kind of a thing.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with you. I would have cared a lot more if I bought his relationship with Edie at all. Not for a fucking second, I bought that because it just made zero sense. But yeah, no, I agree. I think if he would have gotten away because of that, it would have. And then a scene of him like being alone in New Zealand or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that would have hit harder than. Yeah, but like holding his hand and like triumphant music playing, it's like what are we doing here? Like what are you trying to? What theme are you trying to impart on me? Because I don't get it. I feel like they were trying to say like greed is bad, but like De Niro wasn't greedy at the end. He's like, all right, well, he was greedy and then he went over Wayne Grill, but like he stuck to his rule, and it's still, it just didn't really, I don't know, didn't hit for me at the end.
No, I saw the obvious answer that he was going to get tipped off about Wayne Grill and he was going to fold and go back, and that was going to ruin everything.
Yeah.
And I like that because it feels very in character.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Jon Voight is really good. I liked his character.
Yeah, Jon Voight's good too, definitely. Smaller role, but handled with aplomb.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the final scene, I like the set piece. I do, but it's a little goofy in the end because like Robert De Niro is holding a corner of a crate. And Al Pacino's wandering in the middle of the field with
no cover,
shotgun.
No cover at all.
and then instead of just like leaning around the corner and doming him, De Niro chooses to step out into the flash of light like a giant silhouette, be like, "Hey, shoot me!
Yeah,
shoot me!" And then Pacino sees it and does. Also, I forgot to mention, but there was a fun fact that may explain some of the Pacino being incredibly erratic for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot cut from the original story was that he had a cocaine habit.
Honestly, that would have done a lot for me. That would have done a lot.
It does make some things make a lot more sense.
Yeah, because he flies off the handle. Yeah, insane. And I'm just like, what are you doing? I thought you were supposed to be like a good cop, and you're yelling at your snitches like. And
I agree with you. Actually, I think that added context would have done a lot.
Yeah.
Can only judge what's out there.
Speaking of the gunplay and the action, like I mentioned, I didn't really like how it was edited. I think the opening heist, the idea for it is cool, but like the way we're cutting between, I'm like, is Kilmer in the same car as De Niro, or is he in another car? And like they're all wearing masks. I'm like, I don't know who's who, but one, like, I think Val Kilmer had a black mask, and it was just very hard to understand. And maybe they're going for like chaotic, but like even just like setting up the plan, it was like very hard to tell what was happening.
Right.
And then the whole gunfight in the street on paper, I guess, is cool, but again, I'm like, I don't believe these cops are going to be open firing machine guns when civilians are just around. And also, fucking Pacino shooting Michael Sizemore in the head when he's holding that girl. Are you fucking kidding me? There is no way in hell he would take that shot. No way in hell he would take that shot to possibly hit a small girl. Like, are you? I just do not buy that shit at all. If he was on cocaine, maybe, but I'm like, you're not that confident you can hit this dude.
So I really liked how that set piece was planned out and drawn out.
Mm-hmm.
I think the action was really cool in theory, but yeah, I don't think it was edited quite to perfection. And the sound was a problem for me.
Yeah.
But another fun fact for you, there were quite a lot on this movie. At one point, Val Kilmer runs out of bullets and changes the mag quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently they show that video to Marines as a demonstration of how you should do that efficiently.
Oh, interesting. Were they?
And so Val Kilmer was super proud of that. And yeah, I would be too.
Wait, so when you were talking earlier about them shooting it, were they using like blanks, like live, like actual guns with blanks?
I assume they were blanks. Yeah.
Okay.
That
like
would make sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that would surely emphasize the point of like they want it to sound like real gunfire.
Right. Which, yeah, that's the line between like realism versus enjoyment for the audience is like not worth it in this case.
Yeah, it's the classic. I mean, video games do this where it's like realism wise, you should have to open this cabinet and by hand look at every object in the cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we just say collect all.
Yeah.
You know?
Looking at you, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yes, that's the one I was referencing.
Another line that made me chuckle is when De Niro is getting the plans from, was it Kelso's the guy's name?
Mm-hmm.
Kelso goes, the boards go straight into the CPU. That's not a thing. You can't put boards into a CPU.
It's the other way around.
Me and you built a computer, Perk. It's just, can we get one person on set who knows how computer works? Like saying, oh, let's go to the mainframe. Mainframes don't exist.
You're preaching to the choir, brother. I've been pissed off at Marvel movies for 30 years for doing this stuff. Just call someone at MIT. Anyone.
Just
like a freshman will
call a freshman at Michigan Tech. They can answer your questions. But yeah, I will say the positive thing. I think the diner scene is the best scene in the movie, like no question.
The coffee when they're across each other. Yeah, I agree. I feel like I've seen it probably because I have like at least referenced.
I will say the setup for that scene makes no sense of why Pacino's like, oh yeah, we've been tracking him. Oh, let me just pull him over and then take him to coffee. Why? But them two together, I mean, their chemistry, they've been each other for a long time, right? I mean, it was really good and it was really a conversation, but I don't know if it was worth the whole movie for me personally.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't have much more to say. I mean, so very clearly here, I mean, I didn't watch this movie with a very critical lens, which sometimes that's just the mood I'm in.
Sure.
Like, I watched it to have a good time, and I did. So
I mean, I was laughing at it a couple times.
That's fair.
And I wasn't trying to go in trying to hate on it. It was just kind of, this kind of happened. And a lot of it was Pacino yelling without a cocaine addiction.
Right, right.
As far as like recommendations, in my opinion, if you want a story with like the cat and mouse between detective and criminal or hero and criminal, I think like there are better showcases. I mentioned The Departed, which I did shit on a little bit recently, but The Departed I think is way more entertaining in that aspect. And I think also like something like Death Note has really fun cat and mouse stuff. And then also, like I said, I got a lot of Point Break vibes from this. Not as much because they're not like hanging out, but like
similar kind of, cop versus baddie.
Yeah, and like but we respect each other kind of a thing. And also, like what the thing that cemented it was Pacino holding his hand at the end with the music. I'm just like, what? It felt like, Swayze going into the waves and dying, kind of.
Yeah.
And I think Point Break is just better. So, yeah. Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, the party came to mind as well, but it's a little more involved of a story. Yeah. I think a good option would be The Town.
I haven't seen that one. That's Affleck, right?
Yeah, Affleck and Jeremy Renner in his best role, in my opinion.
Have you seen The Hurt Locker?
The Hurt Locker?
I was saying The Hurt Locker is nuts.
But The Town is a great heist movie that also features central romance being kind of a obstacle, but it's handled a lot better, I think, because there's really only one romance to focus on. I think that was part of this movie. Is like it's tough to develop relationships when you're trying to do that with 3 relationships at the same time.
Yeah,
you just don't really have the time to dedicate, and it's a 3-hour movie already. You don't have much extra time to dedicate.
Right.
But they did manage to sneak in a sex scene, which, not to be a prude, but some quote from somewhere I saw was like, sharing a meal in a movie is representative of sex. Sex in a movie is representative of nothing. Which is a little oversimplified, but like that whole scene is like, oh, these two are romantically involved.
I think it's cool. Even, I think they're trying to say like, no, they're in love. I feel like sex in a lot of movies is like I agree, like having a meal together and them connecting is like they like each other, but like having sex, like, no, like they're in love and they'll do anything for each other. And it's like, I just didn't buy that with De Niro because, like, again, he's 20 years older than her. And I'm just like, and they have such a first date, boring ass conversation. It's literally like, where are you from? What do you do? There's no like spark or connection point. And then they hook up and then they see each other 3 times in this movie. On the second time they see each other, he's like, run away with me to New Zealand. It's maybe they saw each other other times, but it's just, I don't buy it at all.
Where they probably saw each other other times, just off screen.
Yeah. I don't know. Not my fave relationship. I do think the Val Kilmer one was done pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. That is our review of Heat. I feel like I need to apologize, but I'm not going to for my takes.
Never apologize for your opinion.
Yeah.
Unless it's wrong, then do.
Before we reveal our watching next week, I do our little bonus reviews. Perk, why don't you start us off? What did you watch?
I finished Ted Lasso.
I still haven't yet because I have no access to Apple Plus.
You don't have the means.
Yeah.
So to start off of season 3, I wasn't sold. They had an episode which you've seen, right? The Amsterdam.
Incredible.
Fully brought me back on board.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best episodes of the show. There's one episode in the back half that I just did not enjoy watching. And then after that, it was just home run after home run. In the final stretch. They really know where they need to hang out. Like they know their niche. They know where they need to be. They have some good heavy hitting emotional moments, some good team moments. All the characters have some decent closure with exception. But I loved it. I love that show, start to finish. My only real gripe with the 3rd season after watching it in summary is I don't really like anything they did with Keeley in this season. And you'll see when you finish what I'm talking about potentially. And then also there's a decision with the ending, which I'm sick of. But it doesn't ruin anything.
Okay.
So
okay. I'll try to figure out a way to watch it hopefully soon.
If anyone hasn't gotten on the bandwagon, watch Ted Lasso. It's gonna be out of the cultural zeitgeist soon, and no one will demand you watch it anymore. But it really is worth a watch.
Yeah.
It's just a great, emotionally resonant show with a lot of positive characters, which is really hard to find nowadays. Mm-hmm. It's all like, oh, you got to watch Blackbird. Like, Yeah, I don't really want to watch Blackbird though.
But Taron Egerton, we love him.
I know, and Paul Walter Hauser is also
Yeah.
really good at acting.
Yeah.
It's about prison and a crazy psychopath. And it's like, or I could watch Futurama again, man. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Apple TV, did you see the trailer for After Party season 3 came out?
No, there's a season 2.
Maybe season 2. I
think season 2.
I think there was a season 2. I don't know. But anyway, in the next season, Sam Richardson is going to be in it.
Good, because he's great.
Mm-hmm.
We love everything Sam does.
We love Sam.
Especially the Metal Maniac.
The main thing that I finished was not a movie or a show, but I need to talk about because I spent 52 hours playing it, which was Final Fantasy 16. My God, that game was long. I'll speak on the story. So it's basically Game of Thrones Attack on Titan. In that there's a lot of, it's, high fantasy, like medieval setting with nations kind of plotting against each other, and they each have essentially a Titan from Attack on Titan, whereas a person can transform into a giant monster kind of a thing, and they get like kaiju battles and stuff for territory. So pretty cool. I think the main character is great. His name is Clive, which is kind of awkward, but he's a good dude. And I think a lot of the relationships worked very well. Female characters could have been written a little bit better and maybe had a little more screen time and a little bit less like fawning over Clive. But overall, like, okay. And I think the ending was really solid, and I'm just happy the ending didn't ruin the game, because that happens a lot with me, with not just games, but like movies and shows, where like a bad ending can just ruin the whole experience, which is perhaps unfair, but it's kind of what happens to me sometimes. But yeah, I overall really enjoyed the game. Mainly the combat is just incredibly fun, and the best part of the game. But the story was very, very solid, and I'm happy I took the time to do it. I'm glad it's over, but I'm glad I got through it. So yeah, that was Final Fantasy 16. What else did you watch, Perk?
I also did not watch, but have a game review for you. I finished Outer Wilds.
Oh, baby.
Which is a game that Jacob has been telling me to play for a while, and one of my coworkers also told me I should play. It was on sale for the Steam sale, so I picked it up. Couldn't put it down.
Yeah,
that
it's so addictive.
Game is insane. It's just the mystery of it and the threads unraveling. You just want to keep going. You want to learn more. And then I get to a point where, oh no, I don't want to know anymore. Stop now. No. But it's such a unique experience. I've never played a game like it where it's all story, and it is all character, like personally driven. Like you learn what you want to by going places and learning things all on your own. There's only one character interaction in the game that's mandatory.
Yep. After
that, you do whatever you want, and you can. I didn't, because I'm a nerd, but you can miss like a half of this game. You can finish the game without playing through like a large portion, and a very cool portion.
Yeah.
Which you probably will know what part of the game I'm talking about, but scared the life out of me.
Oh yeah, I was losing my shit. The same
because
place.
At that point it was like 2 a.m. on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. So scary.
Yes, but beautiful at the same time. Like, I can't recommend this game enough. Obviously, the meme is no spoilers.
Yeah, you can't.
Really,
you can't
honestly, though,
you
have to go into this game without knowing anything. I went in without knowing anything, or at least I didn't know too much. Which ended in a pretty funny experience I'll tell Jacob about after we're done recording. But I'm like desperately looking for another game like this, but they just don't really exist.
They don't exist, yeah.
I bought the DLC. I'm going to play that. But yeah, Outer Wilds, 10 out of 10. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe it has to do with the interactive nature, but I feel like for me, there are so many more 10 out of 10 games than there are movies. Like, and maybe it's just with personal involvement, the flaws kind of seem less obvious. Whereas, like, if I'm just watching something on the screen, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's dumb. That's stupid." Whereas, like, "Ooh, I'm flying a spaceship."
Yeah,
You
maybe
know?
because
So,
they're longer. If there's like a small thing you don't like, it kind of gets evened out over
yeah,
time, and it
yeah,
doesn't
drop in a
really.
pond.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly. The Outer Wilds is one of my favorite games of all time, and it's essentially like the only archaeological game I've ever played. It's really
Hmm.
an archaeology game. Like it's set in a very small solar system that you can move around and figure out the history of this culture. Which maybe sounds boring to some people, and maybe even to me before I played it. If you told me what it was, I'd be like, "Oh, it's kind of boring. I don't care about history." But man, it is just fascinating once you get in there and understand like what happened to these people and what is currently happening. And it's just yeah, it is life changing, man. Like there's no game like it. So if you play games at all and you haven't checked it out, I can't recommend it enough. Just like Perk. I got two little have reviews for you, like two little
Okay.
just kind of fun things. The other night, Joseph and Alyssa, my roommates, were watching Arrival, and I went upstairs and watched the second half with them. I've seen it before, and I'm a big fan. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I
I
really love
haven't
that
watched.
movie. I really love the alien design. I think it's super
Mhm.
creative and super well showcased and shown.
Kind of reminiscent of Outer Wilds in a way,
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
simpler way.
Um, and the twist is just so cool. I do think the movie, I mean, granted, I only watched the second half, but I do think the movie loses some. It's not very rewatchable because once you
Okay.
know what the thing is, then it's not as exciting.
Sure.
Um, but it's still just really, really cool. And I know some people are not as hot on it, but I think it's a really cool movie and I like it a lot.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorites. I haven't seen in too long, but it's just another feather in Denny's cap,
yeah,
man. His
yeah,
his filmography is impeccable,
yeah,
and really a lot of people would do good by themselves by going back and digging through some of his older movies. Prisoners and Enemy, Sicario. Like these aren't
yeah,
even that old. They're not
yeah,
dated at all. They've come out in the last 20 years, and
yeah.
just he's so consistent as a filmmaker.
Well, and I've only seen his sci-fi stuff. I've only seen Arrival, Blade Runner, and Dune, and his visual language is just incredible.
Hmm.
Especially with the sci-fi stuff. So yeah, I need to take some time and go back and watch his older stuff too. But
I'm sure we'll
yeah,
get there at some point.
yeah. And then the other little fun thing is so one of the podcasts I listen to, one of the guys on it, just for whatever reason, just started rewatching Suits. If you remember the show on USA back in the day,
Hmm.
and his coworkers are giving him shit for it. Like it's an old show, and he's just like addicted to it. I'm like, oh man, I watched Suits back in the day. I loved Suits. I watched the first 4 seasons, when I was in high school or whatever. And then I finished watching Heat, and on Netflix, Suits popped up as like the next preview. I'm like, I'll watch the pilot because the pilot's great. And then I watched like 4 episodes. It's just like, I love Suits, man. That show is so fun. The characters are so fun to watch. And it's a great time. I might keep watching it. I might not, but I don't know if you've ever seen it, Perk, but it's such a fun watch.
That's the premise is that they just dress like lawyers and pretend to be lawyers.
No, that's Psych.
That's
Except
like
it's
okay.
about their cops. No, Suits. I'll give you the quick rundown here. Suits is about a kid named Mike Ross who's like a super genius kid, but he got kicked out of college because he sold a math test. And so now he takes the bar exam for people. So they pay him to impersonate them
Oh,
and take the
okay.
bar exams so they can be lawyers. And antics ensue, and he runs into this very, very successful lawyer from this law firm in an interview. And they get it off, and he's like, all right, you can come work for me, but we have to lie and tell people that you are a lawyer and passed the bar and went to Harvard because they only hire from Harvard. So the show is this kid, Mike, with his mentor, Harvey, and Mike's really smart, but he didn't go to law school. He just knows book knowledge, not actual like real world knowledge. So it's him learning, and then Harvey they're trying to get him to kind of open up because he's very selfish, classic kind of lawyer type. So it's like him opening up and Mike kind of getting better as a lawyer, and their dynamic is just so fun. And yeah, there's other characters at the firm as well that are really fun to watch. Meghan Markle, that was her big role before she went and married Prince Harry. So yeah, it's a great time. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, I wonder if that 4 hours you spent watching Psych could have been applied to honoring the memory of a recently deceased actor whose movie you are contractually obligated to watch and haven't done for like 4 months now,
on
Jacob.
my list.
Is it on your list? You started Suits again.
Who passed away?
Alan Arkin.
Oh, yeah.
The viewers want answers, Jacob.
I promise. Here's what I can promise. I will not Malala you until I would get it done.
You're just not allowed to Malala me ever again at this point.
I'm gonna watch Little Miss Sunshine.
Turnaround time is ridiculous.
I've been busy, okay?
No, you haven't. You just told me you watched 4 episodes of Suits.
I shouldn't have. I stayed up too late last night on a school night.
No, fair enough. On a school night, no less.
Yeah. It's it's fine. It's fine. I'll get to it. Do you have anything else, or was that it?
No.
Okay, that was your 2. All right.
That's
well, that is our show for this week. I feel bad. I need to watch Little Miss Sunshine. I promise I will. I just need to.
Your word means nothing. Malala is crying.
Well, I would, Perk, but you're forced us to watch 2 movies for next week because our plan for next week, we're doing this for the first time on the podcast. Well, we've done double feature before, but not like this.
Yeah,
we've never done a theatrical release. So here's the plan: we're gonna watch the original Mission Impossible, and
the connection being Jon Voight.
Yes, thank you, Jon Voight.
Yep.
And we're gonna watch Dead Reckoning Part 1, which was gonna happen anyway, but we might as well tie it in and have a good time with it. So Mission Impossible 1 is available on Paramount Plus, and then Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 will be in theaters. And I'm telling you what. You need to go see it this weekend because it's the only weekend it's going to be in IMAX because Oppenheimer's kicking it out the following weekend. So you got to go support if you want to see it on the big screen, which I think you're gonna if you know anything about Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise. So yeah, a little double feature for next week: Mission Impossible, the original on Paramount Plus, and then Dead Reckoning Part 1 in theaters. So yeah, until then, thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.